All right, this is session 2 of Edcamp Home, and we're talking planning an Ed camp. My name is Kevin Ashworth, and I'm a 6th grade teacher in California, and I'm currently planning an Ed camp. And so this is all, I've been to one before, but planning one is all new to me, so I'm hoping to get some good advice today. Duane.
You're muted.
I know, because Google was complaining that I was muted, and that's how I know I'm muted. I'm actually here lurking. I'm an instructional coach responsible for training 240 teachers, K-5, across 9 different schools. And I'm just trying to figure out how to provide staff development, professional development as efficiently as possible. And I know Edcamp is one of my possibilities. So I'm just lurking.
All right. Leslie.
I am an instructional technology coach in Griffin, Georgia, and I'm new to the position. We're thinking about hosting an Ed camp in the future. I've never been to one. This is my first one. I'll go to a local one in a week and a half, and sometime in the future we will put one on here in our district. So I'm trying to get some information.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Megan.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Megan. William.
William Chamberlain. I'm a junior high social studies teacher. I'm with a group that's trying to put together an Ed camp at Disney World for next summer.
Wow.
No way.
That's cool.
Really? When? I'm going to be... NEA is supposed to have their convention near Disney World.
We're looking around June 9th, somewhere in that area.
Okay, too late. We're going to be there July 1st through the 7th.
All right, and is it Mira?
Myra.
Myra. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Myra Deister. I teach in Fullerton, California. Our computer-using educators was planning on putting a conference together, and we this week sort of decided that it would be Edcamp style, so I'm trying to get some ideas.
All right, so let's see, I've been to an Ed camp. William, have you been to one before?
I've been to 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
All right, Myra?
I've been to 4.
All right, Leslie, you said you're going to your first one in a week or so?
Yes.
All right, and what about you, Duane?
I'm in the same boat. I'm going to be going to my first one in August.
All right, so cool. So has anybody in the group ever planned an Ed camp?
No.
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay. The silence is...
One of my questions is, and when we were talking about this, is I know the Ed camps I've attended had sponsors. How do these people come up with sponsors?
That's a good question. I think they just contact them. I know that through the Edcamp Foundation,
right?
If you register with them, I think they somehow can hook you up with a sponsor to help plan your event. I'm not 100% sure of that though, because we just registered with them for the Edcamp that we're planning for November out here in California. So I'm not sure about that.
I'm in California too. What part of California are you from?
San Luis Obispo is where it's going to be.
Okay, because we're planning on one in November too, but we're in Southern, so we won't conflict at all.
No, it should be okay.
I know that you can get local sponsors. I've seen Ed camps that have had local sponsors that donated money for lunch or things like that. I see a lot of tweets asking for sponsors on Twitter.
Oh, really?
That's kind of an open the door kind of thing. I think email. a lot of people that put on ed camps already have relationships with vendors,
Right.
so I think they use that.
And I know I helped with our Tech Fest for our local Q. I was put in charge of sponsors, and I have no relationship with sponsors because in my district everything's handled through our district office as far as purchasing. I have no contact whatsoever. So it was kind of a difficult situation. And I even contacted the previous sponsors for our Tech Fest, and I did not get a very good response. That's why this is one of my concerns.
I think we'll find, at least around here, I think just beating the bushes will help us find some sponsors here and there. I think, we've got local businesses that are willing to put even, $50 or, $100 to, buy, food at the store or something for breakfast or snacks. I think, I don't think I'll have trouble finding enough sponsors.
Well, we sort of decided that we would not provide lunch. I know the last one I went to, which was about 3 weeks ago, they started at 8, ended at 12, only had snacks for breakfast. I thought that was a good format because if people want to extend it, they can go out to lunch, make arrangements to go out to lunch.
Yeah, that's a great way to.
What are the expenses that are incurred? So why would you need sponsorship? I've not been to one, so I don't know.
If you provide any kind of snacks, food in the morning, all the ones I've been to have door prizes. So you need to have a sponsor either provide a door prize or money to purchase something.
Okay.
Yeah, and and the location itself you have to have insurance.
Right.
Insurance rider at the location itself. So like my school is hosting the ed camp that we're planning, and so we have to have an insurance rider for the day of that event.
And I think because my local Q does other events, we already have that coverage, so I don't think I'm going to have to deal with that, hopefully.
All right, William, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, you don't really have to have door prizes. You don't really have to provide food or anything like that. You can make it pretty minimalistic. I know that a lot of districts that put on their own ed camps, it doesn't really cost them anything more than a regular workshop day would cost.
Now, for those of you that are planning ed camps, we were kind of thinking about having our Q board members actually step up and predetermine some sessions they would put up on the board for us. Are any of you doing anything like that?
No, we hadn't thought about that. I mean, if you had people, if people in that have been to an ed camp before kind of understand the process, and they will probably already come with an idea for a session or so. So if they come with an idea, I think you'll be able to populate a board pretty quickly, depending on how many people you're expecting. How many people are you expecting?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we're putting ours on Eventbrite, and we're going to, I think, cap it at 75 or 80 or something, and then just see, like, is there even that much interest in it? Yeah. Well, so it might be small, or it might be, if it's bigger than that, then that's great too. But we're gonna kind of cap on it to begin with, and then see where it goes from there.
I think, well, we were going to hold it at Concordia University, and I think we were going to put about 100 as the cap. But we have a lot of teachers in Orange County, so.
Yeah, and you have a lot of, I think you have a lot of ed camps down there too, so you have a lot of people that know what it's like.
You're right, absolutely.
So, William, are you planning one?
Yeah, we're trying to work on one for Disney World in Orlando. We have first of all, none of us actually live in the Orlando area, so that makes it a little more difficult.
Yes.
Secondly, we're looking, because the people that are in the group, we're all Disney fanatics, and we wanted to combine the two. That makes it really difficult as far as sponsorship and funding, because it's not cheap to have a space to do an ed camp, especially if you're going to be using rooms at Disney on Disney properties. So,
Right.
we have a lot of issues with how many people do we need to cap it at. How much money will we be able to raise to just pay for the rooms to use? So there's a lot of issues that we have with that. We have some ideas, some unique ideas to help raise funds, but we're going to have to talk to the Edcamp Foundation and see, kind of go to the Godfather and get permission or.
Have you approached Disney at all about helping you out? I know I was at a workshop there last summer. It was Alice. It was through Carnegie Mellon, and they got partial sponsorship from Disney.
We just started looking at this about a week and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
And we'll take anybody's money.
All right, Catherine's joined us.
Hello.
Catherine, introduce yourself.
My name is Catherine Cabanis. I teach 7th grade world history in Garden Grove, California.
And are you planning an ed camp, or thinking about it, or just learning about it?
Well, I've been to a couple of ed camps, and so I'm interested in how to, how to go about planning it. If it's to be done in my district, I'm sure we'll have to do it within our district first before we host one of the ed camp OCs. So.
Oh, maybe she can come to ours with OCQ.
When is it?
We're planning, right now, we had to change the date. We had one date, which was November 8th, and we have to move it to right now, I'm thinking November 1st. We'll get the word out, but.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to come.
Yeah, we're thinking about having it at Concordia.
Oh, in Irvine?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Close by.
And William is planning, he just started planning one for Disney World.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We'll see. We'll see if we can pull it off.
Yeah. I have a feeling there would be interest for that.
Yeah, we put it out on Twitter, and we've already had 190 people or so say they're interested. It's one of those things where there's a lot of people that love Disney. We're doing it in the summer. We're hoping that we get families. I'm hoping that we can incorporate the kids into the ed camp in some way. Put on sessions for them. So one of the things I really don't like about the ed camps is the fact that it's so difficult to get kids to attend. I'm hoping that we can encourage more. I'm assuming there are going to be a lot more kids down for that one than a typical ed camp, simply because they're going to extend it as a family vacation. So hopefully we'll get some students involved.
The last one I attended was nearby in Santa Ana, and they didn't have students in the workshops, but they did bring in the junior high students to assist them with the different tasks that they had to do, and then at the end with the raffle, the students were actually doing the raffle.
I'm looking more for them actually doing sessions.
Right.
Older kids, the younger kids, I'm thinking maybe we could have specific sessions for them, run by adult facilitators or something, just to provide that leadership. But it's kind of murky right now. We've got 11 months to work on it. So.
Yeah, but I think having kids in the set, like running sessions or just participating, but also just as resources. A lot of times you're in the session and you're like, well, what would a student think about this idea? Is just being there to ask questions so that it could be younger students or older students. I think that's something, for the one that we're running, we really want to bring in students in a kind of a unique way, because I went to one in San Francisco last year and there weren't students, but there were a couple times where it came up where, we thought, well, what's the student perspective on that? And I think an Edcamp is the perfect setting for that.
I like that idea.
We have an intervention before school starts. I mean, it used to be called Head Start. I don't know what it's called now because, the funding. But I can see, planning one of the days and making that an Edcamp for the kids that are invited to go. Because we have kids that are interested in technology, and they're already there anyway. And, I mean, we couldn't do it at my school because ours is limited to a very small group of kids enrolled in Avid. But, if you're lucky enough and you have funding before school starts, I can see where that would work.
Yeah. So if you would open the chat box on the left-hand side, if you have a Twitter handle, if you can put that in the chat box, that way if there's a follow-up question or something that we want to get in touch with each other, we can use Twitter. So Leslie, where was your Edcamp that you're going to?
It's in Fayetteville, which is about 30 minutes away from here. And then there's one, I think, Edcamp Savannah, coming up in September that I'm registered to go to.
I think that's great. I'm super excited for you because I loved it. I went to the one last year and it was such a great experience. And you get to meet, all these people on Twitter that you haven't seen face to face before, which is kind of cool.
I'm excited. I was at ISTE last weekend, and I had wanted to go when I couldn't go, but as part of my new job, I was able to go, and it was so overwhelming to see the people I had seen on Twitter, and then it's like, wow, I get to go to Edcamp, and then another Edcamp, and I'm like, okay, too much for me, but hopefully I'll make it through the next month or so.
Oh, that's great. I've heard ISTE is like huge.
Yes, it is. Well, we had a group called on Twitter and G+, Not at ISTE. And so a whole bunch of us were curating things that we had heard about ISTE together.
I did see that hashtag on Twitter.
I was the help desk.
Oh, okay.
Had somebody take a picture of my face on their iPad under the help desk sign at ISTE. Or the unofficial help desk.
I was in between being home and being at the NEA convention, so I didn't quite participate as much as I wanted to.
I think, and one of the things that we did so I think, as far as planning the Edcamp, you have to have, having a group of people is super helpful. But one of the guys I'm planning it with teaches high school students, so he had some of his students design a new logo for our Edcamp, which I thought was really a great way to bring kids in, and it's a really cool logo. We haven't tweeted it out yet, but when we get ready, we're going to tweet out because it's really cool.
I like the idea of I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine, go.
I like the idea of getting the students involved. At the high school that I just left, they have academies, and one of the academies is the STEM Academy, and they have a robotics team, and the children are interested in doing things I think that we could tie into the Edcamp. So I'm going to talk to my boss well, he's on vacation next week, but the week after, about possibly doing an Edcamp, maybe with the students, some kind of technology fair, and then tying that in with what we're going to do with the adults with our Edcamp that I hope we can have in the spring. I'm getting good ideas here. This is cool.
Well, one thing you can do is code.org is going to be posting, I think they're called ambassadors, I can't remember, but they told me the middle of July on their website they're going to be posting teachers that have been trained by them. You might check their website, say the end of July, and contact the person that they selected for your area. They might be a help.
You said that's code.org?
Code.org, yes.
Okay.
Leslie, are you planning your EdCamp as a district or a school? Sorry, I came late.
District. I'm a district instructional technology person. We just hired two. I'm responsible for the middle schools and the high schools, and we have another person who will do elementary schools.
So you're doing, so your EdCamp will be within your district only,
Yes.
right? Okay.
That's the intention because I've never been to one. And then maybe, I think there's an EdCamp Atlanta, and then I know there's one down in Savannah because I'm going to that one. So I'm right now not sure what's out there because I'm new.
It's really strange. It's really hard to explain to somebody what an ed camp is like, and for them to really understand it. So yeah, I would suggest go to one and just check it out. You'll notice some things that are kind of weird, and you'll notice some things that are kind of duh things, like why didn't I think of that? But the experience is, it's completely different than, say, ISTE or even a local technology conference or social studies conference or whatever.
Well, that's because those sessions are set. People have already applied and they've been approved. Unlike ed camps where somebody gets an idea and then everybody shares.
Exactly. It's more of a conversation than it is a
presentation.
A presentation, yes.
Yeah, and Catherine, I have our ed camp is not school really or district. It's just some guys I met on Twitter who are local with me. We decided to get together, and there's no ed camp that's on. We live on the Central Coast of California. There is none that was near us, and we're like, well, let's just do it. So we just decided to do it. So it's not really through our district or our school. It happens to be at my school because that's, we got permission to get it, to have it there. So that's how that came about.
Okay.
Having a place is a good start.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say so.
That's our biggest struggle right now, is find a place that we hopefully can afford at some point.
Yeah, the two ed camps that I actually attended in person, the district was able to open the Wi-Fi for everyone, which I thought was key. Within my own district, I mean, it's just everything is locked down, and we couldn't host an ed camp that invited anyone from outside of our district with their personal devices because they'd have to use their own data plan. They couldn't get on, and I don't even know if our district would even entertain the idea of opening it up. But I know Irvine Unified and Santa Ana, the two ed camps that I went to, I mean, they opened it up to people, and I thought that was very generous of them to do that.
I've been to Newport Mesa district office. They open up their Wi-Fi too, and I held an hour of code at my school, and I was able to get them to open. This is really strange. We don't open up the Wi-Fi for our students, but I could get it opened up for an evening of hour of code to the public.
Wow.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. So this is totally, I'm a beginner, and the question is, what is the logistics? So let's say I've got the money taken care of, I've got the insurance writer taken care of, everything's taken care of. Now I've got 100 people showing up. What's the logistics of getting people signed up to a workshop and then having them go?
Well, it would be getting the word out, and you can use Eventbrite and then get it out on Twitter.
Well, no. I mean, like, they're now on campus. I've done
okay.
Like the people have actually shown up.
Okay.
And I'm at the basics of just the logistics of how this actually works. So, what is I know that there's the Edcamp Foundation website that I can look at all their blogs and stuff. But does anybody have like a 2-minute talk on the logistics of how you get people to go into which room they want to be in?
Yeah, go ahead, William.
I can. Typically what you see is they put up those gigantic pieces of notebook paper with the sticky side on it. They put the room numbers on them, and on that paper they divide it into the number of sessions there are. So There could be 4 sessions. I've seen up to 6 sessions. So you just write session 1, session 2, session 3, and leave a spot. When everybody comes in the morning, and they have the like the meet and greet time, you just invite them to go and to sign up for whatever they would like to facilitate. It's important to use facilitate instead of present, because facilitate is a lot less threatening to people that may want to learn about something or want to share about something, but don't want to be completely in charge of it for 50 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then after they're signed up, typically what happens is they take those. They usually leave those there. They have somebody writing down what the sessions are going to be, or they're putting them on the computer, printing them out. Then they take them to the doors, and they put them on the room doors, so you can see what is in each one.
See, that was much more organized than the one I went to. We just signed up with the room. People put their session subjects, titles, whatever you want to call it, on like a spreadsheet that was a big piece of paper, and with the room numbers, and we just picked the ones we wanted and went to that room. We didn't even have a sign-up sheet.
Myra, you went to the one in Santa Ana, right?
Yeah.
There was that one app that they had us use, remember? And they didn't tweet it, but it was, you could see the schedule for each session. Do you remember what that was called? Because that might help, other people that are running. And
I didn't even know they had an app.
Was it?
It started with a Y. Yes.
Yap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it?
Use that. It was called Yap. That was the name of the app that they used, and they were using that for their session, like to put the organization of the sessions on it.
I just kept going. I didn't know they had that. I must have missed it because I just went back to the board, and I think we only, what was it? We went to 3 sessions. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was 2 or 3. It was pretty short, I think.
Well, and then, okay, another follow-up question would be, okay, how do you, are the facilitators, do they kind of just rise up, like cream rising to the top of a barrel, in that they show up and that's when you suddenly discover your facilitators, or you kind of have an idea prior to the Edcamp who's going to be facilitating?
At the one in Santa Ana and the one that I went to at Cal State Fullerton, Fullerton, they had people sign up and say, I can facilitate this at this session. But in Santa Ana, I think they kind of said, if you put the idea down or on the post-it, that you should kind of figure that you're going to facilitate the discussion, and you're not an expert, you're there to learn.
Okay. So they show up, and that's when you discover who your facilitators are.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I went to with no facilitator. We were like, who signed up? Who did this?
Yeah.
And we showed up, and there was no one
who said they wanted this.
Yeah,
that's the way it's worked in all the ed camps I've gone to.
Yeah, typically they put their name on it or their Twitter handle, and so that way you know who to talk to if you need to. A lot of times, I've had people that were putting on the Edcamp. We usually have a tweet up before, and usually get maybe 30, 40 people to show up if it's a big conference. But usually those are the people that have been to several ed camps, and they know what's going on. And it's not unusual for people to walk around and saying, "Are you going to present? What are you going to present on?" And then actually talk about maybe some new ideas and things. So a lot of times, there's already several ideas the night before just from the conversations that take place.
So I had a question as far as looking at planning. For those of you that have been to an ed camp, what doesn't work for you? Like, is there something that you would say, like, oh, don't do that, or did this happen and it didn't really work well as far as for me individually or for the camp or whatnot? Do you have any advice like that from just being a participant?
I think you need to have everything clearly labeled you know, where almost like a map of the area. You know, this room is located down this hall, or something like that. Because you know, one school that I think in Irvine, it was a little hard because they were all pods. You know, and I was kind of like walking around like, well, where's this room? Because that's where I wanted to go. So it just needs to be labeled very clearly.
Okay.
You know, maybe something that might be good for newbies is to have like a newbie Edcamp session so that they have some idea of what's going on.
Like before the actual session board, but before the true sessions start?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe even have a Twitter meetup beforehand so that they have some idea of what's going on. Or
I think for Edcamp OC, there's a dedicated website where they put information on there as well, like kind of, you know, how it's run and what to expect. And I don't know who's running that, but I thought that was very helpful.
Because I haven't been to an Edcamp OC. I've been every place around me but there. The last one they planned, I was in Tucson, so I couldn't go.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, Catherine, on that idea you had as far as having everything labeled, is maybe have students just lingering, where they have like a little badge or something that says guide or something. So somebody's like, where's the bathroom at? They look for the students that have the badge or something, and that, you know, you could have just students kind of loitering around the school, and they're like, you know, they own the school. So that might be a good use of students.
Well, the one at Santa Ana, they actually, as I hope I'm saying your name right, Myra, right?
Yes.
The students actually had an Edcamp OC shirt on, and so they were the ones that helped with registration. They were standing at the key corners of intersections so they could point out where the rooms were, and they would come by and ask, you know, do you need anything? Do you need, you know, whiteboard markers or whatever? So they totally utilized students to kind of help facilitate the transition process between sessions.
And they, as I said before, they also did the raffle.
Right.
Yeah, which brings me to the thing that I like least about the Edcamp experience is, depending on the number of giveaways after the sessions are over, spending 30 minutes drawing names kind of drives me.
Yeah, no, that's totally, that's a great point.
But I have been to several that have tried different things, and there's no good way to get rid. I mean, if you got a lot of stuff, there's no good way to get rid of it. That's equitable, I think, especially if you have something big. They always wait till the end to give that away. But
right.
Yep.
Maybe
I think the other thing is not something that can be really controlled by the Edcamp team. It's when people walk into a session and they do a presentation as opposed to doing a conversation. I think many of us are conditioned to talk as long as there's as long as the room's quiet. So that can be difficult if you get into a session like that. Of course, the rule of thumb is, if you don't like the session, you're welcome to get up and leave, and there should be no hard feelings. In practicality, I think that might be a little more difficult for a lot of people, because we train our students that you don't just get up and walk out. So it's a little more difficult, I think, for us to do that. But you know, I think that's something else that's a problem with the Edcamp model. If you let anybody in to facilitate or moderate or present, then, you know, those are the kind of things that happen.
Right.
Or maybe if it's you know, when Edcamp starts, who's ever hosting it, you know, kind of maybe throw out some norms. You know, this is not a presentation. It's supposed to be a conversation, and so that it's very clear from the very beginning. So if you're sitting in a session and it feels like you're being talked at, then you can just leave because they told you in the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, thanks everybody for the conversation. I love the ideas about students, getting students involved, and these last few ideas as far as what hasn't worked, actually, as far as planning, really helped me. So I appreciate it.
I learned a lot, so thank you.
Thank you for letting me come late.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.